Let's get rich. So how are we going to do that? We're going to do this with a couple of different ways. We've got some really interesting things to talk about today. One of those things being Marathon issuing senior notes in order to buy more Bitcoin. We got TMF waking up with the potential rate cuts coming in just next month. MicroStrategy running the wheel on that has been quite the experience. I've got an update for you on that as well. We're also going to talk about the Bitcoin mining July update for most of the miners. I'm going to go into the Compass mining article for that since I really don't have time to go over each and every one of them in a single video, in their own individual videos as I have done in the past, just because I missed all of them being on vacation. So we're just going to do a real quick lightning round for those using that Compass mining article. First of all, first of all, if you have not done so yet, subscribe. Consider subscribing if you've been with us for a while and haven't done so yet. Smash that like button. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description. We got some great products on there. So first of all, let's talk about Marathon Digital. They have plans now to issue $250 million of private notes, which is basic, or senior notes, which is basically convertible debt. So they're issuing almost interest-free debt for in order to purchase Bitcoin, with the option in the future to convert that to stock. This is the exact same game plan that MicroStrategy does. Exact same thing. So they are now not only mining Bitcoin, they are playing the MicroStrategy game plan. Let's see how that pays off for them. I think that might go really well for them. They're pretty they're fairly financially healthy for a Bitcoin miner. And if they're going to be building their treasury even larger, even faster, and especially since they will more often than not in the next year and a half, year now, um, be seeing profitable quarters kind of going into Q3 and Q4 of this year. They'll start probably having profitable quarters, whereas MicroStrategy generally does not. This might be something pretty big for Marathon Digital versus everyone thought they were going to start buying up all these little miners and just expanding their hash like crazy. And it turns out they're like, no, we're just going to buy Bitcoin. So this is really exciting actually for Mara, and I have added a little bit to my position of call options, long dated call options for Mara off of this news here. Next, we're going to look at TMF. TMF is finally waking up. There is likely going to be a rate cut in September at the meeting, at the Fed meeting. It's baked in at about 90 some odd percent for a 25 basis point cut, and it's something like 50% potential for a 0.5 basis cut. Now, tell you, if we do a 0.5, TMF is going to absolutely fly while the rest of the market is going to crash. A 50-point basis rate cut would mean that there is something really scary that the Fed is fighting. So what we really want to see is a 0.25, a 25 basis point cut, which would send TMF up nicely, but likely not crash the market because that's what they're expecting. And that means that the Fed is kind of just going at an even keel off of this high interest rate environment. Whereas if they did a 0.5 or forbid a 0.75, that would be like the sky is falling if that situation were to come out. But TMF, it's broken above the 200-day moving average. We came back and back tested it on August 8th, and it has been bouncing from there. Once we get above this red trend line here, and once we cross $62.19 and close above that, game on. And we are going to very, very quickly find ourselves at $75 after that. At $75, we're going to struggle a little bit up to about 82, and then we're going to quickly find ourselves knocking on the door of $90 once we get past that $62 mark. That is the line in the sand there. So what I've started to do, and I'll start to do today, is likely start to sell puts on TMF. And if we get a nice big spike, I'll just choke up that, I'll move up closer to the money on that. And so one reason I would do that is because let's look at the chart here. You can see when we start seeing it spike, like right here, right, November in 2014, like it spiked up from November 2014 until January 2015, 43%. 60 days, 43%. Sometimes it does it even faster. July 15th, 2011 until, was that September? So July to September, 89%. What's this one? November 2015 until July 2016. That's a little bit a longer one, but look at this, 73%. This one was intense. 2018, it was from October until August 2019. So that was like almost a year, but 100%. Like this next one was really fast. The 2019 one, that was December to March, 90 days, 66%. Like when this thing pops up, like it does it really fast often. Maybe not as fast as crypto, but it's also a lot safer than crypto. This is the 3x bull shares for 20-year Treasury plus 20-year plus Treasury bills for the U.S. Treasury. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this thing to start moving up. And look where we are right now. We're at the lowest lows it's ever been. This is maximum all the way back to 2009. We're at the lowest lows TMF has ever been. So when this thing comes up, it's going to come up quickly to this floor up here, which is where $82. Look at that, $82, maybe $72. It's going to quickly move up to that range I was mentioning, which is right here, this line up here, this $75 area. It's going to hit that real fast as soon as it breaks out of this downturn that it's been in. And if you are playing options, that's going to go real big, real fast. I don't think I'll be doing that with TMF. I'm going to start selling puts. So if it comes down, I'll get 100 shares and write it up. And if it doesn't come down, I'll just collect premium. And the reason I'm going to do that is if I look at the options chain here, this is an options chain that expires August 23rd. That is next Friday. That's 9 days. So if I'm close to the money, like at the money, it's $222 for a week and a half of holding this thing. A little bit away from the money, let's say $56, right? I wanted to, if I had $5,600 in my account, I wanted to sell a cash secured put on TMF. I could collect $100 every week and a half. That comes out to about $300 a month off of my $5,600 investment, or putting up cash of $5,600. So if we had $300 a month divided by 5,600, we're looking at about 5% a month or about 64% a year just selling out of the money cash secured puts, which you can at any time roll into different price points. You could roll it to a closer to the money price point for more money or further away from the money if it falls, in order to keep your cash position rolling for more puts. So it's pretty safe, actually. I've been doing this with MicroStrategy as well as NVIDIA for a little while now. My MicroStrategy one is looking a bit rough right now today because there was a bit of a dip here right as market opened, but we'll take a look at that in a minute. So this is how I am planning to play things right now. I'm looking at TMF. The time is now for TMF. It is heating up. As soon as we get that rate cut, this thing's going to fly. So I'm going to get in before the rate cut. And I'm hoping for a 0.25, a 25 basis point cut, not a 0.5. A 0.5 will send TMF flying, but absolutely crater the rest of my account. So I really don't want to see that. I'd like to see a 0.25. That's what the market expects. That's what they want. That means that things are going as planned. 0.5 cut would mean something broke, things aren't as planned, and it is time to get fearful a little bit. Let's move on to Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. We haven't looked at the chart like this in a while here. I've got the SMAs up here. You can see Bitcoin has been slamming up against the 50, the 20, and the 200-day moving average here, honestly, since August 8th. And it's been getting swatted down every time it goes up to touch that. Now, it's done it once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times it's hit the 50-day and failed here. Now, we are printing some bearish tweezers here on the daily right now. That kind of sucks. If we get below 58,728, we're likely to come down to find the bottom of this wick down here around $57,000. Now, that's going to suck. But what we do know is that Bitcoin also tends to frustrate these bullish and bearish prints that we get. Like back here on July 10th and 11th, we got some pretty wicked tweezers that ended up just running up in a big way. So I'm not too concerned about those tweezers. What I am more concerned about is the fact that it keeps failing at the 50. There's a lot of resistance right in this area here with 3 SMAs that it has to conquer in order to go any higher. So really right now, we want to see it get over 62,344. Now let's bring up the fib clouds here and the ATR bands. What else is there? So what do we've got? Yeah, the 62,300 mark, it's got to get above that. It's going to have to do it. And then once it gets above that, 63,453 is the next mark. So there is this little pocket here that's going to be some pretty intense resistance that it needs to get above before we have room back up to $70,000. So this is flagging, but that flag is looking a little bit weak right now. So I'm not super in love with the way that Bitcoin looks right now, but this is a bullish sort of form. Like, right, it went up, it came down, it started coming up again, but it is printing a tweezer showing weakness. So I don't love that. but as long as it stays above 50, what is it, 58,751? As long as it stays above that 58,700 level, right? 58,700, as long as it stays above that, I am not too concerned about it. Now, that is hurting my MicroStrategy move right now. I'm actually negative on that on the day. Let me take a look here real quick. The one I currently have open that I opened yesterday is that put is at minus $213. So that sucks a little bit. It's actually in the money right now. So that's not great. I may have to do something to manage that once I'm done recording here. So that's fine. It's not the end of the world. I've done it before. I'll do it again. Anyways, this right here is again a bull flag, right? MicroStrategy needs to get up and above $136.74. Then it's got room up to 158.85. On the downside, we could potentially come down to 120 before we find a bounce. Now, anywhere below 124.49, I might start sweating on my cash secured put and trying to roll it down lower and further. Okay. So right now I'm out until next Friday, so a week and a half. So I'm not really too concerned. I'll see if it comes down further. Like if it gets below like this 130 level, like if it goes below $130, I may look to roll it down to 124, 125 and move it out a week or two. That's about all. But one thing that is nice that I like seeing on here is the MACD is printing white bars here and is closing up. The RSI did hit the signal line and fail, so that's not good. But if we look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is actually also printing white bars on the MACD, trying to turn green. Also, it's about to do a daily cross. So if we get like 1-2 green candles over the next couple of days, we're going to get a cross on the RSI, or sorry, on the MACD for Bitcoin. Also, the Bitcoin RSI is quite close to bullish territory. It is above the signal line on Bitcoin, and it is just 4 points away from being in bullish territory. So I'm not too concerned about that. There's some really good technicals looking here on Bitcoin right now to try to make a move at least up to the 62, up to the 62,300 level to tap the 200-day moving average, and then, potentially try to tap that mid ATR band at 63,453. So I'm not too concerned about that. All right, so that's what I'm doing with MicroStrategy, and I have been running my cash secured puts right now. Let me see. Right now, I'm running them about a week out. I don't know what's going on with my computer. There we go. I'm running them about a week out, and I'm doing them just a bit out of them. I was doing it a bit out of the money. Right now, mine is in the money, so that sucks. But if I go to not this week, but next week, August 23rd, go to August 23rd. Yeah, so I sold mine. Actually, I sold it for about $490. I don't know what, this is not the correct number right there. That should be about 5 something right now, which is why I'm negative right now on mine. But yeah, you can make about $400 or $500 a month, or sorry, a week off of selling a cash secured put on MicroStrategy. That's what I've been doing. It was at like 134, 135 when I sold mine, and I got about 500 bucks for it. Now it has come down, and actually it's I think since I said I'm down over $200, it's over $700 now for that same cash secured put, which is in the money. If I were to do it right now, I'd probably be looking to go to like 128 or so for next week, and then if it got down there, maybe roll it a little. We'll see. We'll see what it does. I'm not too concerned about getting early executed unless it goes all the way down to 126, because that's when whoever I sold it to is actually making money and may consider executing it and then selling it on the open market to make money. So we'll see. That's what's going on there. All right, so let's take a look at Mara. Mara is also, so off of that news, didn't really do much, right? Didn't do a whole lot. I think that news came out like this day, right? No, yeah, that's why. Came out around this time, August 5th, which is why it was way, way up when everything else was way, way down. And then we got, oh no, it was this day. It was August 8th. That's when we got that 10% day. August 8th, we had the 10% day. That's really when that news came out, but it kind of fell flat. So I think we need to start seeing them actually see if investors will purchase those senior notes and allow them to buy that $250 million worth of Bitcoin. And once that happens, I think we'll start seeing it move up. We are in a very aggressive downturn. This is very controlled, but aggressive selling. We have the 200 and the 20-day moving averages both at $19 and just at $19 there. And 1980 is our most traded level. So there's a lot to be in the way here for Mara, but I do think it will smash through that if it starts getting valuations similar to like MicroStrategy. So that'll be pretty cool. That'll be pretty exciting. Same thing on the ATR bands, about that $19, $20 level. It's got to get through that. Once we get out of this aggressive downturn, just like we've done every other time, right? Every other aggressive downturn has led to a short aggressive pop and then, stair stepping up. So we'll get an aggressive move up probably to about $20, and then we'll start stair stepping up on Mara once it decides to break out of this aggressive descending channel. Now let's get on to the July reports for the Bitcoin miners here. So let's scroll down. Let's take a look at them. So this one, let me open this image in a new tab. So it's just that image. It's nice and big, or as big as it can be. Can I zoom a little bit? Magnify image. Magnify. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Go away. All right. So total hash rates. So we can see that the hash rate for BitDeer was 7.5, and they ran with 7.5. So they're as efficient, honestly, as CleanSpark or as Core Scientific. So that's actually really cool to see. I like that. That's a very efficient Bitcoin miner right there for BitDeer. They mined 181 Bitcoin. They sold 100% of it because that's what they do. They're in the camp with Iron and Terrawolf. They sell 100% of what they produce. Let's see, their efficiency, they did 24.1 Bitcoin per exahash, which is, it's on the higher end. It's not well, not really. It's mid-range. It's mid-range. No, high mid-range there, because the highest I'm seeing is what, 25.2 with Mara. It's actually pretty good. CleanSpark's at 23 is better than CleanSpark. Yeah, no, it's higher end. It's on the upper range. Let's see, they've got it shows power capacity now on this report, which is cool, because we know that that's important in terms for if they're going to switch over to something like AI, or if they were going to get interest from AI companies in order to try to apply some of their power towards that. They actually have a larger amount of megawatts than CleanSpark, but a much lower hash rate. So that's interesting to see what's going on there with BitDeer. So they were mining 6 Bitcoin per day in June, 5.8 in July, so a little bit lower. Their day-to-day change is -2% there for their Bitcoin. I wish it would tell me the change from month to month it used to. This report's not nearly as good as it once was. Let's take a look at Bit Digital here. Their total monthly hash rate was 2.8. I believe it was up from 2.6 a month ago or so. But they only averaged 2.5 of actual uptime. They mined 61 Bitcoin. They sold 4.6. You can see the hodl now. They measure in millions of dollars. Bit Digital actually sold about half of their bag about 2 months ago in order to purchase more Ethereum. We'll see how that plays out for them, since they want to be the MicroStrategy of Ethereum. Yeah, everybody wants to be MicroStrategy these days. We'll see how that plays out for them. I have been decreasing my Bit Digital position, not because of that, but because I wanted to cash up to run this MicroStrategy wheel. I still hold, I sold what, about 30% of my Bit Digital bag in profit. It's about 25% profit that I made on my Bit Digital bag in order to have cash for my MicroStrategy wheel. It wasn't because I don't like Bit Digital anymore, it's just because I liked MicroStrategy a little bit more and I wanted to have enough money to run that wheel. All right, let's see, the Bit Digital also mining about 24.6 Bitcoin per exahash, more so than BitDeer, more so than CleanSpark, more than Core Scientific. It's the only one that mined more than them was Mara. It looks like Mara was the only miner that did a better than 24.6 per exahash in terms of their production of Bitcoin. Bit Digital matched Bitfarms as well as Iron for their production, as well as Griffin, which is a smaller one, and I don't ever talk about it, so I won't continue. I won't start now. Bitfarms, they actually, so they've got up to 12 exahash, but only 11.1 is energized right now. They are growing pretty quick. A lot, since a good amount of the drama is done for them. We'll see, though, they have been dropping pretty dramatically lately in terms of price. Their average operational hash rate was 10.3 only in July, which is not normal for them. Usually they're mining at a much greater efficiency than that. So it's a little interesting to see that they must be having some issues powering up those miners that they got, since they are still showing only 11.1 powered and 10.3 operational. So they must be working on some updates, getting that software, that hardware, ready to go with whatever software they're trying to put on there and get it energized. They mined 253 Bitcoin this month, sold 142, so about half of what they produced. That's interesting. A little more than half of what they produced. Very interesting. They've only got a $66 million hodl right now, which I don't know, what does that translate to Bitcoin. I want to know the number of Bitcoin, not the millions of dollars here. I'm gonna have to get into that later in the week and talk about how much each one actually has in terms of number of Bitcoin. I don't like that they made this change. Is there somewhere I can make a suggestion that they just tell me how much Bitcoin they have? I don't need to know how much it's worth in fiat. I don't care. I want to know how much Bitcoin that is. But 66 million, what would that be? Something like close to a, is that close to a thousand? No, I can't be close to 1,000. Is it? I don't know. My math isn't mathing. I'll worry about that later. Um, their fleet efficiency is also lower than Bit Digital, so that's interesting. Usually they're one of the more efficient Bitcoin miners with Bitfarms. So something's going on with Bitfarms right now, which isn't great. So let's see. In June they mined 6.3 Bitcoin per day. In July 8.2. So that increased. That's good to see. Gotta love to see it. CleanSpark is at over 21.2 exahash now, and they mined with 21.2 exahash. They are on it. They're keeping things up. They mined 494 Bitcoin last month in July and only sold 2.5 Bitcoin, so almost none is what they sold. Their huddle bag is now up to $458 million worth of Bitcoin. They had something like a little over 6,000. They must be getting close to 7,000 now, which is why I like to see the number of Bitcoin, not the dollar value. No one cares about the dollar value of the Bitcoin, except for Wall Street, who's trying to value these companies. So I really don't. I really hate that they made that change. That bothers me, and I don't like it. But that's right. We're not going to talk about that right now. Let's see, they mined per exahash, they mined 23.3, which is a lot lower than Bit Digital and Bitfarms, as well as, but it is higher than Core Scientific, but lower than, that's lower, it's lower on the pack there for CleanSpark this month. 23.3, I would expect to see a little bit higher from them. They are one of the most efficient Bitcoin miners in the business, so I would have expected to see that to come out a little higher on the higher end versus more mid of the pack, mid pack. Even less than Riot right now for their Bitcoin mined per exahash. So that's a little bit interesting. Don't care for that. Don't like seeing them performing less than Riot. Uh, uh, let's see, per day they mined 14.8 in June and 15.9 in July. So you got that nice increase there. Core Scientific, they had 20.1 exahash, mined with 20.1 exahash, mined 411 Bitcoin, sold most of it because they're still working on some of their debt load that they're trying to offload, which honestly, if they might be doing a really good job with it. I have to take a closer look at that. I think they must be doing a good job with it considering how they've held up compared to other miners in terms of their price action. So that has been going really, really well for them. Let's move on quicker here. Hut had a 4.7 exahash, mined 4.7, so that's really great. They mined 88 Bitcoin, sold 91, so they're digging into their bag. They had something like a 9,000 Bitcoin bag, which it looks like they are decreasing. So I don't love that. That's a bit ominous. Seeing a Hut who's been holding such a large bag of Bitcoin for such a long time, selling more than they're producing. I wonder what they're gearing up for, or what kind of rough waters are causing that potentially. I'm not so certain. I'd have to do a dive into that. Iron had 10.5 exahash mined with had 9 operational mined 220 Bitcoin, sold 220 Bitcoin because that is their philosophy. I have been buying Iron. I've gotten up to about 500 shares of Iron now. As long as it's under $10, I am buying Iron. Of course, none of this is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. Just what I'm doing with my portfolio, my thoughts about these specific stocks. Let's take a look here. They had 24.6 per exahash they mined, so they were matching Bitfarms and Bit Digital, doing better than CleanSpark, worse than Mara, but better than Riot. Let's see, per day they mined 3.6, no 7.8, and in June and in July they did less with 7.2. So hate to see that, but they must be doing something with their mining rigs, which keeps them less than 10.5 operational in order to be that much lower than they were last month. So there must be something going on there. Mara is actually doing great. Wow. Okay, Mara beat over 30 exahash a little while ago, right? Okay, so they got 31.8 right now. They're mining with 27.5. That is the most they've ever been mining with. Mara is looking good. I'm pretty happy to be holding the calls that I've got on this thing right now. I might want to increase that position potentially. That is very interesting that they're doing way better than they were before in terms of their efficiency, in terms of how much they are mining with. That's really great. They mined 692 Bitcoin last month, sold none of it, bought more of it. That is amazing. Their hodl is 1.3 billion dollars worth of Bitcoin. That is pretty amazing. Like they've got over 20,000 Bitcoin, and that is just growing. That's pretty great. They mined 25.2 Bitcoin per exahash, which was the most of the publicly traded miners listed on this graphic here last month. That is great. Their fleet efficiency is up there too. Let's take a look here. They mined in June 8.5 Bitcoin per day, and in July 11.9 Bitcoin per. Oh, sorry, that was right. Mara did 19.7 Bitcoin per day in June and 22.3 Bitcoin in July. That is huge increase. That is beautiful to see, right there. That's more than a 10% increase. That is awesome. It's really well. That's really good there. Riot finally getting some exahash online here. They got 23.3 installed. They're got 15.5 operational, which is just a few more than the 12 they've had for such a long time. Let's get more of that operational, right? Get your house in order. It looks like they're moving the right way, so I like that. Mined 370 Bitcoin last month, sold none of it. I got a hodl worth $627 million. So they're still got the second place in terms of the largest Bitcoin hodl, but CleanSpark is coming in hot on their tail for that one. They mined 23.9 Bitcoin per day in the month of July, not per day, per exahash in the month of July, and 11.9 Bitcoin per day in July compared to 8.5 in June, which was a 40% increase in Bitcoin mined per day. That is huge. That is really great. I'd like to see that for Riot. I would like to see this company start to get back on their feet again and get things in order once more. TeraWulf, last one, TeraWulf. Hash rate 10, operational 8, mined 195 Bitcoin, sold 177 Bitcoin. So they actually kept a little bit of their Bitcoin. That's interesting. Their hodl is still showing 0, even though they mined more than they sold. So they should have some on their balance sheet. So I don't really know what's going on there. I'm not going to dwell on it. Per exahash, they mined 24.4, which, that's more mid-range of the pack, coming a little bit on the lower end, but not as low as Riot or the Soluna, or, honestly, CleanSpark last month wasn't their best month. Per day, they mined 6.3 in July, and in June it was 5.9, which represents a 6.6% increase in their Bitcoin mined per day for July. And that is the lightning roundup of the Bitcoin miners for the month of July and their production numbers. I will get into some of our favorites over the next couple of days here to talk about their Bitcoin bag, and do a little bit more of a dive on that, as well as their earnings reports, because some of them had earnings reports that I haven't gone over yet. So we're going to go ahead and look at those later. I know CleanSpark had an amazing one, even though they missed. Mara missed pretty hard. So we'll take a look at all those and talk about them here in the coming days. So that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Don't forget to check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description, and have a profitable day.